So now, again, from our experience, this is an extremely important functionality because once you set the link once in your design, it's all set now. In your database, you can use it in all your designs, and it's automated, and it saves you a lot of time and effort. So the next step is we're going to look at design management and design verification. Because as we mentioned, once you create your design, you're already protected by the first line of defense, which is the design rule check inside VSys by default, but you always have to double check your design. Maybe there is something wrong in the design. Before we jump into VSys, before we jump into the design verification, let's ask another poll question. And Dan, if you can be kind enough to start the second one.
Yes, Mo. All right. Great. This is another yes/no question that we have going on. So again, if you could just take a few seconds. Does your first prototype always work the first time with no electrical glitches? Yes or no? Again, we're keeping it very simple for today's polling, but this will give us a good idea on who are the wizards on prototyping. We'll give it just another few seconds before moving back to the presentation.
The Michigander says, watch out for the spurious lawsuits. We don't need a recount, I don't think. This is a clear victory.
All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. So again, this one skewed more in a way that we'd expect. I'd say majority of people, like the rest of us, again, aren't able to make it work right away. There's a couple that make it work right away. Good for those people. But Mo, I think this aligns with what you were expecting. And with that, I'm actually going to go ahead and pass it back to you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for the poll. Okay, so from the poll results, we can see that no one always gets the first design right from the first time. And essentially, what we're trying to show you here is that we can leverage the tools inside VSys to help us bridge that gap and pull the poll maybe more towards having the design right from the first time. So in this video, the designer, we're going to utilize VSys native collaboration features to complete a design verification. The designer outlines the desired behavior of the components in question. In this demo, for example, it's the light select switch. Based on the position of the switch, different groups of lights are desired to be on. For example, in position 3, the warning lights and the front lights are supposed to be on. Yes, I'm sorry, I had to restart the video again. So as I was saying, the designer outlines the desired behavior of the components. For example, in this case, we're selecting the light select switch. We're outlining the behavior of that switch for the verification team to make sure that it's operating as we intend. And again, for example, in position 3, we have the front lights and the warning lights are supposed to be on. This is the intended behavior. The designer adds the node to the verification team and associates the components in question to the node, making it easier for the verification team to locate said components. As we can see, simply selecting the components in question, and they're automatically assigned to the node. And this node is always attached to the project. You can always access it and have the history of all the nodes in the project. The verification team then opens the node, locates the components in question, and starts the verification process. Based on the node left by the designer, the verification team begins the verification process, testing the different positions, And just like that, quite quickly, the verification team notices an issue with the design. Immediately replies to the comment, assigns the component in question, and suggests the recommended fix. The designer gets back, sees the note from the verification team to switch those specific wires, for example, in this case. And all the designer has to do now is go back to the design and fix the issue based on the recommendation from the verification team. This is very straightforward. All the history is always going to be attached to the project, so you're going to have a list of history change in all your projects and the communication between the different teams. And from our experience, this is extremely important to have this history in the project so you can always see your design trends and make sure that you have an open channel of communication between your design team and verification team. Again, we go back to the main challenge in electromechanical design. It's the ECAD-MCAD collaboration.